Hey everyone, my name is Nick Elston. I'm an inspirational speaker on the lived experience of mental health and a transformational speaking coach. And I'm very excited to be here delivering this short for Cityparents. I love working with the guys at Cityparents. And today I'm tackling this subject of mental health versus mental illness. Now, for those eagle-eyed amongst you, you would have noticed that I briefly mentioned my title, that inspirational speaker on the lived experience of mental health. That's crucial. For me, it's a disclaimer. I'm not solution focused. I'm not a fix or give advice in any way, shape or form when it comes to my space in the mental health and well-being field. And actually, that's a really important point to clearly define what that means, to communicate our niche and to set our context around that. And why does that relate to the mental health versus mental illness conversation? Because we need to do the same with those two terminologies as well. Mental health versus mental illness. Mental health as a term gets a really, really bad rap because people will automatically use it in the negative. People will say to me, Nick, I have mental health. Yeah, absolutely you do. We all do. 100% of the humans on the planet have mental health. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, that's a whole different conversation. Or maybe even more extremely, I don't believe in mental health. Firstly, what? That's for a whole different presentation altogether. However, it's important to recognize that what they're saying is they don't believe in the terminology. We go for the negative. Mental health is a neutral state, like physical health. Whether it is good or whether it is bad, that is a different question. So we need to start to use it sensibly. We need to use mental health in its neutral state, but we can start to use positive mental health. Because to me, mental health is a muscle, something that we can exercise and something that we can nurture and care for every single day to give ourselves the best chance of being stronger, smarter, happier, more successful, whatever those really subjective terms mean to you. Even maybe in between waiting for the periods where you are waiting for a solution or professional help, because as we know, sometimes it can be a drawn out process. But having experienced both of those things, mental health challenges and mental illness, they are poles apart. Mental illness, for me, I had obsessive compulsive disorder in my childhood. It morphed later in life into GAD or generalized anxiety disorder. And it's a debilitating, painful condition, a combination of conditions in my example. And for me, the true impact of poor mental health actually is how it affects the decisions we take, the opportunities we go for, the ones we don't, the relationships we choose and the ones we choose to stay in, how it stops us from living a life and having a career or running a business and having an education on our terms. It affects our sense of belonging. We don't feel that we can aspire to be any better or any more progressed than where we are right now. It affects our sense of aspiration. So by correctly using mental health in its neutral form, we can start to make big changes and have better conversations around mental health. But when it comes to people that are struggling, that as people, as leaders, as humans, you will have big conversations with people around mental health. Now, when it comes to our responses to that situation, we'll either keep people at arm's length because it just seems too intense and too much, or we will push them away or we ghost them, or we can start to change the way we look at things, because the other option we take is we try to fix them. And unless you're a medical professional, unless you're a therapist or a practitioner, it's not our responsibility to fix anybody. We need to protect ourselves to be able to protect other people. So I'm going to give you a little walkthrough before we finish this session of how I have better conversations around mental health whilst protecting myself. Because self-care isn't selfish, it's crucial. It's a massively overused but very true adage that we need to put our oxygen mask on first before we can help other people, for us to be strong enough to help other people, or we will go down with everybody else too. And we need to really embrace that. We have a real challenge that we do believe generationally and culturally that self-care is selfish. You will feel guilty before you put yourself before anything or anyone, but we need to prioritize our own self-care, especially when it comes to having conversations. So I'm going to use this in my own terminology, in my own conversational style, and please feel free to use yours. But if somebody comes to me and they say, Nick, I'm really struggling right now, I will say, as you know, I'm not a solution-focused person. I'm not here to fix you. I use the term fix very advisedly, by the way. It's a very powerful word. But thank you for sharing that with me. And I will listen to you as much as you want to be listened to. I will walk you through anything you want to be walked through. However, the point of this is to make sure that you get signposted to the best solution possible for you right now. Is that okay with you? That question at the end is crucial. Is that okay with you? Now, they'll either go, no, actually, I need help right now. And in that case, you go straight to the nearest point of help, whether that be medically or whether that be through internally, wherever that may be, to get them the fastest point of help. But 90% of the time, essentially in life, people just want to be heard and they want to be understood. And they will say, yeah, actually, I just want to talk to somebody. So then what I do is to firstly, actively listen, put down your device, put down your phone, truly listen to what they have to say. Secondly, I will respectfully judge. It looks great on an Instagram post to say, be kind, don't judge, and all that kind of stuff. But let's face it, you're judging me. I'm judging you. Everybody's judging everybody. But what we can do is to respectfully judge. We don't have to imprint our beliefs on somebody else to understand them. We can listen, and we can understand, we can even appreciate, we don't have to agree, especially where we have been with the pandemic. You can have a room full of 10 people and 10 different beliefs and experiences on where we've been and where we are right now. And once you've done that, we can actively signpost people to the help that they need. Get passionate about knowing what's available, whether that be internally for your organization, externally. For example, the NHS have an amazing bank of resources on their website that's very rarely promoted, but it's absolutely there. Through your networks, such as Cityparents, really get to know your trusted partners and your solution providers around you. Get good at knowing what's available in your own local communities, in your industry, what help is available for people, and make it a passion. And therefore, not only have you protected yourselves, so you have more conversations with other people to help them, you also sleep well at night, but you also turn it into something that you champion. You've got good at building a playbook of places that you can signpost people to empower people to create positive change and to really build a positive mental health outlook. And when it does come to mental illness, then we absolutely need to recognize at points of crisis, points of immediate help, it's good to know this stuff. And finally, on this point, it's good to know that I'm not naive enough to think that everybody that comes to me is a middle-aged white guy with a cap on. So I get good at building relationships in communities that I'm not part of as well. So that when people I speak to from those communities, I know exactly how to signpost to them to the help that they need that's absolutely relevant to where they are. If we can start to turn this into a passion, if we can really start to define that mental health is something that we can work on, something that we can nurture and nourish and care for, do we empower people to create positive change? And when we do find mental illness, that absolutely needs to be professionally treated. And once we define those things, we start to change cultures. And as decent human beings, the best thing we can do right now is to really listen to people. Essentially in life, people just want to be heard. They want to be understood. And it's the hope of something better that really drives us all. Just remind them. And it's a phrase that I use so many times. For those who know me, I'm a big country music fan. It's a great song, but also worth remembering that every storm runs out of rain. Every storm you've ever been through, you've at least survived because you're here. Most of the time we thrive. Most of the time we learn. Most of the time we evolve. We don't recognize it at the time. I know people that have been through brutal and horrendous experiences, and knowing that they can only play the hand that life deals is that they cannot turn back the hands of time, that what they've done is to take that same energy that would have destroyed somebody else, and they've used it as a catalyst to go forward, created foundation, raised awareness, raised millions to change the world in a positive way from that same destructive energy. This will pass. And sometimes that's all we need to know. And if it's not you that needs to know that, then it will be somebody that comes to you. So just remember to actively listen, respectfully judge, actively signpost, and you know you've done the best you can as a decent human being. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.